everybody, we are going to get started with our June Club Q kit. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for being a Club Q member. I hope you are enjoying your kits each month. This month we have some fun spring kits, some bright colors and spring flowers. We will start with the kit that is called Small Beautiful Events. And with this kit, we suggested a lot of different powder puff colors because there's lots of colors you could go with. You choose whatever works for you. This one, we suggest Dandelion, which is in our 2024 new powder puff chalky inks, Mango Mai Tai, Weeping Willow, and Dragonfly. Any of those would match, and if you have a stash of colors, you just grab what works for you. There's lots of options. You can even add in pink into this one if you want to, because we have some pink throughout the flowers, and so you choose what works for you. As always, I am going to get started with the cutting instructions first so that we can just get our cutter out of the way. We always put the cutting instructions at the beginning here. There's not a whole lot of cutting and diagrams on this one. The first one we will cut is this yellow, kind of flourishy, yellow and green flourishy paper. And I'm going to move this out of the way. Well, actually, I'm going to leave it sitting right here because normally I will bring in my trimmer and I will set the diagram right next to where I need to cut so that I can see what I'm doing here. So what we're going to do is off the bottom, and what I call the bottom is where it's more green down here, and you can see that there is a little font, kind of scripty font in here so that that's going the right way. So we are going to cut a 2-inch strip off the bottom to begin with. So I'm going to put this in like this, and the more greenish side, we are going to trim at 2 inches. And set that aside. And then we are going to turn it this way, and we're just going to trim 1 inch off and then another inch. So we'll start here, inch, and 1 more inch strip. And then you are left with a 10 by 10 square here. Okay, so set that aside. The next cut you will make, you have 2 pieces of mint green paper. One is, I think, 10 and one is 12. We're going to cut both of those in half, but I'm going to take the 10-inch and we are going to cut it at 5 inches and do that first. So make sure that you are not taking the 12-inch and cutting it at 5 inches. You want to make sure you have the 10-inch and cut it 5 inches. So it cuts it right in half. And then your 12-inch, cut at 6 inches. Set those aside. And I think that's all the cutting that we need to do, other than you have a sheet of printed paper that these pieces will need cut out of. So if you need to pause for a second, go ahead and pause the video, cut these pieces out of the white piece of paper that we sent. These are all on one sheet, so you trim those out. Once you are done with that, then you need to trim out your journaling tag there and your little sentiment quote here. With this one, I wanted to show you because it is kind of a tight cut right there. You can either fussy cut it with some scissors, or if you are going to cut it in your trimmer, I want to show you here, when you put it in, since it's so small, it's hard to get it so that it doesn't move. So what you want to do Get it lined up exactly how you want it so that it's cutting along the orange edge. But you want to cut so that you're going up towards the side so that it pushes your paper up against this and it'll stay straight. If you start from here, it's really hard to make a straight cut because when you come down, it actually moves the paper. So go from the bottom and trim up, and it pushes right towards that straight line and keeps it in place. So that's just a little trick so that it makes it nice and straight. At the end there. And then again on this side because it gets real skinny. And if you would like to fussy cut this instead, you go right ahead. But this is what I do so that it stays in place and you get a nice straight cut. As you push up and it goes against that edge. So go ahead and cut all those pieces out, and I'm going to get the background papers out and ready. I also have pre-punched my most of my die cuts. So you can see I actually left the flowers in the negative piece here so that I could kind of punch them out and line them up as I need to. Some of these are also pretty delicate. These little leaves, they are basically just attached just at the bottom. And that's not going to show when you put it on your page, so I actually just tore it out like that for each one. Just be a little careful with the bicycle and your leaves because they are a little more delicate than the flowers. So I just pop this up, hang on to the end, and tear that out. Because that end will be tucked under flowers, you'll never see that. So it doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'll get these others as I go. Otherwise, everything else I have punched out, and then I just lay them in piles by color so that I know what I'm looking for when I go for it. This is all the yellows in one color, or in one pile. And I'm going to get out the background papers, which you can choose which side you want to use. I used, in the sample, I used the side that has more green in it. I just really like that green color. But if you're wanting more of a blue, light blue look, you go ahead and go with this side. I feel like the green matches this yellowy green and stuff better. But either way, it will look perfect when you're done. So you choose the side. Let me get this set up so that I have everything in the picture here for you. Okay, so from there we are going to just start layering things on. I have, for inks that I'm going to be using, is Weeping Willow, which was suggested, Mango Mai Tai for an orange. I also have, mine's a little messed up because I laid it in ink, but this is Petunia from the new pack. It has a little more pink in it, so if that's something you choose to use. There's also Fields of Green, which is an older color, but it's a really nice green. And Dragonfly. So you choose the colors you want to use. I have a few different ones on hand here. I forgot to bring a yellow, but I'm just going to use what I have. Okay, so this really is just basic layering from here. The only little techniques that we're going to add to this one is chalking up some of the background stuff and the flowers. I'm going to show you how to fold your flowers too, so just a little bit so it gives it a little more dimension on your page. And do with these here. So I'm just going to lay out the pieces for now, and then I'm going to pick up and chalk things later. So on page 2, this floral piece that you cut out, you're going to want it about 1/2 inch from the top and 1/2 inch from the left. Your 2 4x6 pieces, not your 4x5s, but your 2 4x6 pieces, get centered left to right on this piece. And I'm just laying it out for now. I'm not gluing anything down yet. I just like to have things kind of in place and then decide to glue it down. Okay, your 10 by 10 piece. I put the brighter yellow piece up top, and that just gets centered right onto page 1. And if you want to glue that one down, you can, because that one will not be moved. I like to lay the other things down in case I want to move things around, as far as like the pictures that are going in there, giving yourself a little more space with some of them. Because even though we give you step-by-step instructions, you do not have to do it exactly like we do. I love this glue. We have it on our website now. It's called Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. It comes with 3 different tips. I basically just use this small metal precision tip, but you need very little on each piece. You can see I just put a few dots, and that is enough to hold it on permanently to your page. And I love to use it for projects like this because we have some intricate little die cuts and stuff. That precision glue is amazing for that. Okay, your 4x5s. One will go about a 1/2 inch in from the yellow side of this paper, and then about a 1/2 inch from the top of your page here. You have these 2 that you cut out of the white paper. And I'm going to lay down the 4x6. This goes just slightly off of the yellow and slightly overlapping the green. This one as well. And then actually, this will be down a little further. This will show here because we have a quote that's going to tuck in behind that. And then this one goes here. So one reason that I don't glue these all the way down is because you can see these overlap a little bit. You'll want to put your photos in there before you glue them down completely, or to get them onto your page, which I will probably do now, is just put a little bit of a dot of glue in the middle so that it just gets tacked on there, and then you can add your photos later. You just don't want to glue this all the way down because then it'll overlap here and you won't be able to get your pictures in later. Okay, and then you cut 2 pieces, 2 1-inch strips off the side. I'm going to grab my scissors. And these get cut into what I call a little dove's tail. And again, you can use either side of this. If you like this side with the more green here and the scripty, you go ahead and use that. To get a perfect V, I touch the corners together, go start at the corner and cut back towards your hand, and that gives you the perfect little dove's tail. And you do that to both, and you just choose which side to use. I'm going to use the yellow again. You don't need to crease it all the way, just touch the corners together, cut back towards you, and perfect little V there for you. And these are going to go, the outside one, it's about 1.5 inches from the right, and about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch from the top, and this one's down about 1/2 inch next to it. And your 12-inch strip, I just laid mine in water, so it is totally warped. But you choose which side. That side's kind of pretty with the green there. This will go 1/2 inch up from the bottom, across here. And then you have your, I was looking for my ribbon. Here we go. We have a 10-inch ribbon. So what you want to do is fold that, cut it into two 5-inch pieces. And one goes through the hole here and just one knot tied. And then we have one for the top of your journaling piece. So let's go ahead, thread it through one time. And you don't have to tie like a double knot. You just go one time and pull tight. And that's all you need. So again, I'm going to fold this over. Cut back up towards my hand. Fold it over so that the fold is on the top there, and then cut back towards my hand. And there you have it. This one's going to go here. And for your journaling piece, I am actually just going to take this piece, tie one knot, and you kind of make it, you kind of fake it like it is going through a hole here for a tag, but you just tie the knot and you glue it right to the top of your tag. Okay? Oops, that one I did not do very well. So trim those up. I have my kids' scissors today because I cannot find my other ones, which means my kids probably got a hold of them. Which could mean they're grounded for life. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody messes with my scissors. Okay, so once you have that glued on there, I'm actually going to just set this to the side until I get some of this stuff glued down. Okay, so we are actually going to go ahead and take some time to chalk up these background pieces, and we will get these things glued down. I am going to use, let's see, I'm going to use Dragonfly. And what I do is I just go around, I do a little more on the corners because it adds a little extra dimension, and then I just streak it down the edge. This is the quickest way for me to do it. And then a little more around the corners. So you go ahead and grab the color that works for you and chalk up these pieces. So you also have a little bag of embellishments. So you have some brads and buttons in there. Once these two pieces are done, we are actually going to put the brads in the yellow tabs that go above these. So you can grab two of the tabs that go at the top there. Chalk these up if you'd like to. I might put a little mango on there, just add a little orange. I love this color. But totally depends on what you like. If you like more greens, grab your weeping willow, do that with your greens. And in your little embellishment pack here, you have brads that go right through the top. Like that, and it doesn't have to go all the way through the page. We are going to just make it look like it does and put the brads right through just the tabs. Like that. And then I am going to put just a small amount of this Precision Barely Art glue. And this goes centered and about halfway down the tab. So that gets glued to And the great thing about this glue is it dries quickly and it dries permanent, but it gives you just a couple seconds to kind of move things around a little bit. And the second one. And you can see how very little it uses, so one of those bottles of glue go a long way. The center again. And if you want to chalk this up, I would pick this piece up first and chalk that up, and maybe even push pause and get everything chalked. But we are going to go ahead and get some of this glued down. I might go around this in a little bit of green. And I do just a little bit so that it doesn't take away from the print here, but still adds a little extra color. And then we are going to glue this one down. I use my ATG gun a lot for these kind of pieces, but today I just have my Barely Art glue, so I'm going to use that. Once that's on, then we will glue down these background photos. And again, I probably should have done that, lined them up again before I put these all the way down, but I like to line these up so that I know exactly what I want on my spacing. There we go. And I don't know what I did, but I spilled some water on my counter here, so some of my papers are warped. So just ignore that. Maybe I can blame that on my kids too. But I think it was totally my fault. Okay, these two pieces you can chalk up if you want. They're pretty colorful on their own, but I'm going to go ahead and put that down about 1.5 inches in from the right and about 3/4 of an inch from the top. And then this one goes just to the left of it, about 1/2 inch down. And just a little space, maybe 1/4 inch in between there. This piece goes about 1/4 inch from the bottom all the way across. I'm going to go ahead and put mine down, even though it's wet and warped. It's going to be covered up with some of that fencing. Okay, and I'm going to get my ribbon glued on here. It takes a little bit longer to dry on these types of materials, but it eventually does dry. I'm going to go ahead and put that on. About 1/4 inch from the side of your photo mats. A little bit crooked. I usually use my ATG gun or a glue dot to hold those things on. Okay, so your fence is the next one on that page. And that is just going to go right across this piece here. Down the middle. And I'm going to get everything on before I start layering my flowers, lining up my flowers. So go ahead and chalk up these as you go. And again, at any point, just hit pause, chalk up your pieces, get things down. And just remember, if you don't have your pictures in there yet, don't completely cover up your photo backers here so that you can slide your pictures in later. I'm going to use mango on this one. There's not a lot of orange in this paper, but I think all these bright colors, you can add any color you want in chalk and it'll look just fine. Oh, and you know what? You have a third tab. I'm going to put the brad through there and glue it to the top. And again, right in the middle. There we go. Put more glue across there. Add that to your page. I have almost worn out my dragonfly here. A lot of the inks will last on my desk. I am really bad about putting the lids back on them even, but a lot of them will last anywhere from 6 months up to 2 years. It just kind of depends on how much you use them, the environment they're in, but a lot of mine I actually have from over a year ago and that I still use, even though they're not super juicy, they are still chalky and leave that nice soft chalky look that I love. So depending on the pictures that you have, this is where you might want to put your pictures on first and then layer it so you're not covering up anything that's important in your picture. This one, this square piece actually gets right at the top. Actually, it goes under here a little bit. That's why I was just doing the middle. But right at the top of this, I'm going to add a little orange to this, a little mango. And this gets glued right to the top. So again, make sure that you're not gluing over where you want to have a picture. And get your picture in there first. And then from here, it's really about just layering your flowers. And I'll show you how to do that. Actually, let's get our bicycle on there first. So with this, we have our yellow back to your bike. And what I did in the picture was just take my mango or any kind of orange or brighter color, and I just chalked the flowers so that when you layer that, it kind of gives it an extra color in there. You can use 2 or 3 colors if you want to. You could even chalk the basket a different color if you wanted to. Maybe I'll put a little green on that. It's a little trickier because it's hard to get to. But even if it's a little bit messy, it's being covered up by the bike. So I'm going to add that just for one more color. But you could also put another color around the wheels if you want to. And then this is where this precision glue comes in handy. I'm going to take your bike and just put a few dots here and there, maybe a little on the seat, the basket, the wheel, a little bit on the bar there, and call it good. Because once it's in your page protector, it is not going to move, so you don't have to have glue everywhere. Some people run these through their Xyron machine or make it sticky. I just use a few dots of glue, and that is plenty to get it to stay. And if you have your picture in, so this is one reason that I wanted you to line it all up first, because this picture right here really needs to be, you know, something of just someone's face or something like this so that it shows, and not a super important part under here because the bike is going to cover it. And if you want to, you could move the, if you know what pictures you're having in here, you could move this all this way a little bit, or put the bike on this side if you want, depending on what part of the picture you want to cover up. But I'm going to go ahead and add this on here. And then your flowers. So you have two largest flowers. Those are going to go on page 2. So I know that those are going there. I'm going to go ahead and punch the two largest flowers out. They're right next to each other. And then there is, oh, here it is. There's one that was out of another little laser. So there is the next size, a medium in the middle here. And then each of those get one of these. So if you can see where it is on your die cut sheet, one of these size needs to go in, or on top of what I just laid out. This is the hardest part of this whole kit, is lining up what flowers go with what. But you know, if you get one mixed up and it's not the right one that's on there, it doesn't matter because nobody will even ever know. So you layer them how you would like. Okay, so this next biggest one is the middle flower over here. So you can see on this page, it's this flower over here. And then one of each of these sizes next to it. And in the middle, so in the middle of that one. And then one here, and then the smallest go here. I'm going to go ahead and take these out and set them to the side. Just tear that out of there. And we'll tuck those in after we have our flowers onto the page. Okay, so with the flowers, chalk those up whatever colors you want. So I'm actually going to do these all orange. And I just barely hang on to the center so that it spins as I'm chalking. And I go around 3 or 4 times until the edge is nice and dark, and then chalky as it goes in. The top one I am going to use Dragonfly. I used yellows that were actually on the sample, but I'm going to use Dragonfly on this one. And again, I'm just barely holding that in the center, and it's spinning as I chalk. Okay, so one trick I want to show you, which I might have shown you before, but Garage Mary actually showed me this, and I love it because it just adds a little dimension to your page. You just take every petal, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You just fold it in the middle. Just make a crease in the middle. And I do that with every petal. And then when you glue it down, it just leaves like kind of an extra, looks like an extra layer, like it pops off the page a little bit. You might not be able to tell in this video, but you can see it has little extra height to it. So I'm going to put a little dot of glue here, here, and then you have a small button that goes on the inside of there. Now this glue, it takes a little longer to dry with plastic. It eventually does, but just know it takes a little bit longer to dry on plastic. I still use it on that, it just takes a little while to dry. Oh my gosh, we have a helicopter going over top. I'm sorry, that got really loud there for a second. We are in Washington State, and we have less than an hour from here, we have joint military base, and once in a while they do some trainings, and I think that's what's happening right now, and it's so loud. We're just gonna chalk things up while the helicopter goes by. Again, fold those. And these would look really nice if you added some yellow into it too. So if you have one of the older yellows is Chunky Monkey. We have Desert Sun. We have Dandelion in the new kit. We have Lemon Drop. Just kind of depends on what shade you like. And I like to chalk them up before I fold them, because if you fold them and then chalk them up, it doesn't get that inside piece. And what I like about this is it doesn't have to be perfect because you can't tell. And then you just do the same with the other flowers on the other page and put those in place. Once you have things down, I'm going to put a little glue here and add a big button. And then just remember, don't slide this right into your page protector because these buttons might come off. You give it a few minutes to completely dry. Oops, see, I just did that. It just fell off. So get that in place, put my button on. And then you can use your, once you have your pictures on, use your little leaves. However, you can chalk these up, maybe just lay it on a piece of paper if you want them green, and just pat it with your Weeping Willow and it'll turn them all green. I left mine white, and what I do is I just put a little blob of glue on both sides at the end here and tuck it in behind the flowers. I don't glue this down because then I want to slide a picture in later. So that's one of the longer pieces that come out here, and then I do the same for the smaller on this side. Feel free to put these wherever it works for you. So on page 2, you chalk these up, fold them, put your buttons on, and you are done with this page. I hope you enjoyed it. And thanks so much for being a Club Q member, and we will see you next time.